How did you become involved in playing and singing music?
Well, I actually started out when I was a teenager and joined the sixth form school blues band. We were called Six Cylinder Smith and the Carburettors. And we weren't that good, and I was a pretty terrible singer, but luckily back then there wasn't the mass of singers that there are around today, and I got away with it. But that was kind of like the beginnings of my kind of love for music and enjoyment of being a part of it. So I turned my hand to songwriting with the guitarist in that blues band, and we recorded a demo tape, which is what you did back then, demo tapes. And I gave the demo tape to my mum, and my mum took it upon herself to post it to an old next door neighbour of ours, who happened to be Graham Lyle, who wrote What's Love Got to Do With It and songs for Michael Jackson. And so anyway, I waited for the reply, and finally the phone went a week later, which felt like eternity to 17-year-old me. And it was Graham, and he basically said, look, I love the tracks, you know, and just blew me away with his enthusiasm. And from that point on, I was just, okay, music's for me. And that's the turning point in my life, really, where I started to take it really seriously. Everything I did, I guess, from that point on was kind of around trying to crack it in the music business.
How did street performing happen?
Well, the street performing happened not long after the blues band with the sixth form. Another guy that was actually at my school who played acoustic guitar got together with me, and we learnt 4 songs one day and wandered down into Canterbury, which was where I was living at the time. And there was just this big busking community going on down there, which I was very much aware of as I grew up. It was very much encouraged, and there was buskers on just about every corner. So I went down there one day with this guy on his acoustic, and we stood outside Debenhams, and I think I sang Sam Cooke, Wonderful World, Reet Petite, Jackie Wilson. I think I did a Michael Jackson song as well. I did Black or White, Michael Jackson. And I think it was Johnny Nash, I Can See Clearly Now. But anyway, we did these 4 songs for an hour and drew a massive crowd. And then we sort of went down to the local cafe and counted what change we had in the guitar case, and there was 69 quid. Which is amazing, you know. Which I still couldn't believe, and I was like, what, people are actually going to pay me to do this? Because, you know, I was having a laugh with my mate, you know. And I think that was the beginning of the busking. You know, it was like, okay, this could be something where you could have some fun and make a bit of money. And you know, when you're a teenager, you know, making some money and having fun is something you've got to grab with both hands.
How did the Jewelers happen with your brother?
Well, my brother and myself have been busking on and off together for many, many years before the Jewelers really took off. And I guess the moment where it kind of became more than a street thing was that we had garnered such a loyal gathering of followers, you know, people in various towns that really cared about these 2 blokes busking on the streets. And I had this website, and we were collecting email addresses, and we had a modest database of fans, and we were putting on Christmas dues, and I thought to myself, well, why not put a single out and see where it leads, you know, because these fans, you never know, they could, if enough of them went out and bought it in the space of 1 week, we might crack the top 30. So I turned my hand to the recording and mixing in my little studio, and came up with a song, Kiss on the Lips, which was like a fusion of pop, ska, bit of soul, Sam Cooke sort of style vibes in there, with the Lou Rawls kind of harmony underneath it. So it was like duo friendly. And my brother and myself, we put it out, got on the streets with it, registered it with the charts. We had no label at this point, no manager, no pluggers, nobody, just the great British public in 5 towns in the south. and our sort of, you know, drive and merit and belief that this could go somewhere. And in October of 2004, we managed to crack the top 30 and got it to 21 in the national pop charts. So, which, you know, was unheard of at the time. And we had BBC, ITV, Sky News broadcast the charts from my brother's flat in London. It was mad. You know, it was number 2 in the indie charts. But the thing about it was, it never really got the support on the radio. But that was the beginnings of what was the underground sort of mighty fanfare that was the Jewelers. And I'm very proud of that achievement. And you know, I'll carry it to this day.
Why did you leave the Jewelers?
I left the Jewelers. There was a couple of reasons really. We'd been, after Kiss on the Lips had, you know, hit the charts, and we'd had a couple of records actually in the top 30. We still could not garner the real support of a label, or the weight of a label behind us to really break into the, you know, the big pop market. And so it was a frustrating few years for my brother and myself. We battled on as hard as we could, and we tried to get a few people involved, but unfortunately it just never really materialised into the weight that an act like, you know, the pair of us needed. So I had begun to write some material that wasn't sort of scarce reggae orientated, and my brother was feeling much more kind of passionate about pushing the Jewelers in a direction of authentic ska and reggae, which is wonderful, you know, and great. And I love that genre of music. You know, it's my heritage in a sense that our dad was a promoter of ska back in the 60s. Love it to this day. Wear Bob Marley out upstairs, got all the vinyl you want on Bob Marley. But in terms of me personally as a singer, I felt a little bit restricted, and you know, I missed the fact that when we were back on the streets and things weren't so serious, we were mixing up a bit of doo-wop, a bit of rock and roll, a bit of soul. It was like a fun thing, you know. And it was great for my voice to sing those kind of doo-wop tracks, because I feel that there's a certain influence to the vocal tone of my voice to someone like Jackie Wilson. I'm not saying that I sound exactly like the guy, but there's a bit of that in there somewhere, and I miss that. So I turned my hand to songwriting and wrote a song called Dynamo, which was a tribute record, if you like, to Jackie Wilson's Reet Petite. And I gave it to a double bass playing mate of mine, Stu, and he, unbeknownst to me, passed it on to one of the biggest promoters on the rocking scene, a guy that promotes and runs the Rhythm Riot down at Canberra Sands. And so I go out, do my first show down at the Rhythm Riot, and the response was just incredible. I mean, Jackie Wilson's son was waiting in the wings. I got to meet him. He loved the song. He joins me on stage. We do Twisting the Night Away. I mean, it was probably one of the most memorable nights of my life. Again, that was a real career-changing moment for me, because I didn't even know what the vintage scene was. I didn't know what the rocking scene was. And to see all these wonderful people, you know, jiving, dancing, going crazy to what the DJs were playing, which was Little Richard records, Sam Cooke records, Jackie Wilson records. I mean, I'm just thinking, crikey, this feels like home to me. You know, it was this soul fusion rocking thing going on. Fats Domino, Chuck Berry, all these records, and the dance floor is just heaving with people of all different nationalities, colours, ages, and they're couple dancing. I mean, couple dancing alive and well. And we're not talking about all this gyrating stuff. We're talking about good old-fashioned, just guys and girls dancing the way they used to dance. And it was a beautiful thing to see. And, you know, I that was it. For me, I felt a real affinity and super comfortable in this world. And Dynamo was doing so well on the vintage scene. It was like on the rocking scene, it was just going crazy. DJs were playing it, and suddenly I was getting all these, requests for gigs from Vegas to Italy to Australia. I mean, I was off, doing all these things, and obviously I couldn't do both at the same time. My brother was very, had a strong vision as to where he wanted to take the Jewelers, so I just said, mate, take it and go with it and do your thing. And he's been doing great ever since, and I'm very proud of my brother. And when people come and see me now, they say, I saw your brother last week, great to see you. So, we're getting the best of both worlds. He's got the control and he's doing what's in his heart, and I'm over here doing what I love and what's in my heart, which is a mix-up, really. It's not like I don't like ska anymore. I love ska, and if you come and see my show at the Islington Assembly Hall, which is my concert, I'm going to be mixing up ska, soul, rock and roll, doo-wop, blues, because that's the music I grew up listening to, and it's the music that built my voice, built my songwriting. So that's how the Jewelers kind of became what it is today, which is my brother's band, and I'm now doing my band, and what's true and in my heart, which is a blend of all those genres I've mentioned.
What was it like being signed to Warner?
Well, being signed to Warner was amazing. Another highlight of my colourful musical journey. They fell in love with Coupe de Ville, which was a song that I'd written and had become a hit on the rocking scene. And and they wanted to promote me as a rock and roll star, that kind of tip, which was where I was already making moves and a noise on the rocking scene. So I kind of thought, well, this has got to be a good thing. And they pushed Coupe de Ville around to radio stations and DJs, but nobody really bit on the vibes of Coupe de Ville, even though it's kind of got an authentic sort of catchy hook line and all those things. It just wasn't suitable for daytime radio. So which was frustrating, but they stuck with me and got me involved with some songwriters and decided to sort of pull more of the sort of soulful side to my vocals and songwriting out and make that more of a kind of spearhead for what the Warner album would be like. Which again, I didn't mind, because Jackie Wilson, Sam Cooke, those are my influences, both vocally and as a songwriter. So I collaborated with some songwriters for Warner, and out of the many songs that we wrote came Caught in the Moonlight, which became an A-listed record on Radio 2 straight off the bat. And I'm on the Chris Evans show, I'm on the Terry Wogan show, I'm on Lorraine, I'm on Alan Titchmarsh, I'm on a show with Philip Schofield. So it was looking really good. The follow-up single, though, which was really the one that was kind of gonna be the pivot, the one that was going to launch me, was a song called Dance Forevermore. And there was a few people at the radio stations that we were working towards that just weren't feeling it, and I liked the song. I mean, I thought Dance Forevermore, Caught in the Moonlight, I think there's nothing wrong with it. I like singing it, touches of the Drifters in there, bit of Sam Cooke. I'm home, I'm good. But the radio didn't go for Dance Forevermore, and I was a bit miffed about that. And that was the spanner in the works, because it kind of just ground everything to a halt. So we went from an A-listed record, Dance Forevermore got B-listed at Radio 2, and we just never really recovered from that. And even though I thought, well, this is still pretty good and I'm still there, Warner, with all the sort of departmental changes going on and people were coming and going, and like major record labels do, 1 minute you got one guy who's your A&R guy, the next minute he's not there anymore. So it was touches of that. So it was like the lights are on but no one was in, and they just let that deal, the album, kind of frizzle out, and me with it, which was pretty upsetting, actually. But you know, I dusted myself off and put my hand back to writing what was in my heart, which was again Jackie Wilson, Sam Cooke sort of stuff, and I wrote Vegas Baby and Old School, and put out another album, Onto the Scene. And you know, the scene was still there for me, and I was back playing Vegas, I was back doing Twinwood, I was back doing Rhythm Riot, I was back doing all the big festivals that I'd originally been doing. So it was back to business as usual. But yeah, it was a shame that they just didn't quite get behind me, and I still believe to this day there's absolutely no reason why a song like Coupe de Ville or Dynamo couldn't end up on you know, daytime radio. I think it'd be good culture for the kids, you know. But we'll see. But that was the Warner deal, and it was a great experience. Hey, and who knows, one day maybe I'll get to meet Chris Evans again. Chris, if you're watching, you know, I'll come back to your show. But yeah, that was Warner.
Where did you meet your wife?
My wife, yes. Well, I was busking with my brother in Croydon. Yay, Croydon. I was born in Croydon, by the way. I love Croydon. It's great. Yeah, so I was busking in Croydon outside the Drummond Centre. You know what I'm saying, bruv? And I was there wondering, you know, what am I doing here busking? But you know, it was good. We were jumping around, or at least I was, being crazy. And this girl came over to get a CD, and she wanted me to sign it. And I just remember I didn't really clock her, and I just saw the hand. She said, "Could you sign the CD?" And I signed the CD, and I gave the CD back and looked up and connected with a knockout face. I mean, I know it sounds kind of corny and all that, but she seriously, I mean, she still does. I mean, I love you dearly if you're watching. But I mean, she knocked me for 7 or for 6 even. She knocked me out, and you know, beautiful face. I was like, oh my god, this girl is smoking hot. And so I kind of started talking to her, and she says, you guys really need to come to Brighton, because she was from Brighton. And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay." And I said, "Look, give me the CD back." And you know, I put my email address down. I said, "Tell me what you think of the music on the CD." You know, and I was a bit nervous, and I wrote down the wrong email address. You know, duh. And so, but I think I wrote .co.uk or .com.uk or something. You know, anyway. But luckily, she kind of guessed that I'd written it wrong. So she sent 2 emails, and one luckily came to my inbox one fateful day after that Croydon busk, and we got chatting and went out for a date. Funnily enough, that date we met at Croydon East train station, which was the place where my mum and dad went for their first date. Croydon East train station. They met there, and you know, they went on their first date. So we met. So it's kind of history repeating itself. Anyway, so we go out, and one date led to another date, and yeah, we got serious. We got engaged. We got married about a year later. I asked her to move in with me, and she actually said no, first of all. And I was like, "What? Don't!" And then she changed her mind, and anyway, so I gave her a key. I had this key wrapped up. So come and move into my little flat. And yeah, so she did, and yay! And then so we've been married 10 years, and we got 2 kids, 8 and 10 now. I believe it. So yeah, that's how I met her, and all that, a day's busking in Croydon.
Shows have you got coming up?
Shows I've got coming up. Okay, well, I've got Islington on March the 17th, St Paddy's Day, at the Assembly Halls. Massive band, biggest band I've ever been on stage with. 3-piece brass, piano, keys, drums, bass, rhythm guitar, lead guitar. It's going to be huge. Come down. It's got seats as well, seated balcony area. So apparently there's still a load of seats up there if you want to come and just sit and hang. So that's the Assembly Halls on the 17th of March. See the website for details on that. After that, we got Viva Las Vegas on Easter Sunday on the 21st of April at the Orleans Hotel, 9 o'clock in the Mardi Gras Ballroom. I'll be there. Love to see you at that. Following after that, it's the mighty Twinwood in August. Huge event, that one, the big vintage festival. We'll be there. Another mighty band on that stage. Looking forward to coming back to Twinwood. I think that'll be my 8th Twinwood, maybe 7th Twinwood, I don't know, but a wonderful festival. You can camp there as well. You can bring a tent. Lots of camping and kids can come. It'll be great. So come along, bring a tent, bring your kids, bring your gran, bring everyone. And then after that, we've got the mighty, this is what started it for me, the big one, the Rhythm Riot in November. That's going to be huge, and can't wait for that one. Robin, we got a big show for you. I think we go on about 7 o'clock on that one, 7 or 8 o'clock I think it is, but looking forward to the Rhythm Riot in November. That's what started it all for me and my solo rocking soulful career. So come to that one. Yeah, alright, I think that's everything. Are you done? Are we done?